Hello and welcome back. We have a lot to get through tonight, people, so buckle up. When we talk about the roller coaster world of 90 Day Fiancé, few rides are as dizzying, as tear-filled, or as, well, familiar as the one Darcey and Darcey Silva are on. It's a story of twin dreams, twin dramas, and now, potentially, twin divorces. We've watched Darcey, for what feels like an eternity, search for her fairy tale. The knight in shining armor, the lavish lifestyle, the undeniable proof that she is, as she always says, a strong, powerful woman. But her quest for this storybook ending has often led her straight into a tragedy of errors. And right at the center of the latest act is Georgi, the man she's given chance after chance. But now, we're hitting a wall, a fundamental, non-negotiable impasse that threatens to shatter their relationship for good. The question of children. Darcey, a mother of two beautiful daughters, has drawn a line in the sand. She has stated, in no uncertain terms, that she would rather walk away from Georgi than have more kids. And in doing so, she's staring down the barrel of a heartbreakingly symmetrical fate, a twin divorce, happening in terrifying tandem with her sister Darcey's own marital collapse. So, let's pull up a chair, get into the details, and break down exactly how we got here. This isn't just about a single argument, it's about the culmination of years of pressure, unmet expectations, and the inescapable shadow of the twin dynamic. First, we need to rewind. To understand the gravity of this no kids ultimatum, we have to look at Darcey's journey. This is a woman who has always been fiercely, almost desperately, romantic. From Jesse to Tom, we saw her leap headfirst into relationships, envisioning a future of rose petals and designer labels. But with Georgi, it felt different. Initially, of course, there was drama. The cryptic ex-wife, the financial disagreements, the constant comparisons to her past failures. But they fought for it. They got married in a beautiful, emotional ceremony. It was supposed to be the fresh start, the final chapter where Darcey finally got her peace. Georgi, for his part, presented himself as the grounded, supportive partner. The calm to her storm. He'd weathered the storms of her family's skepticism, particularly from her father, and he stood by her through the endless transformations, both physical and emotional. He seemed to accept her intensity, her need for constant reassurance and grand gestures. Their love language was one of passionate declarations, of promising to be soulmates forever. But beneath those declarations, there was always a quiet tension, a series of compromises that perhaps weren't as solid as they seemed. Now, let's talk about the children. Darcey is a devoted mother to Aniko and Aspen. We've seen glimpses of her with them, she's proud, she's loving, and she's raised two incredibly bright and grounded young women, especially considering the whirlwind they've often grown up in. Her daughters are her world. And crucially, they are not little kids anymore. They're young adults, stepping into their own lives, going to college, building their own futures. Darcey is, in many ways, on the cusp of a new phase of motherhood, one that's less about hands-on parenting and more about being a guide and a friend. So, when the topic of having more children with Georgi comes up, it's not just a simple yes or no. For Darcey, it's about resetting a clock she feels she's already moved past. It's about diapers and 2 a.m. feedings at a stage in life where she's finally seeing freedom. It's about her body, which she has meticulously, and very publicly, sculpted and enhanced. But more than anything, it's about her energy. Loving Darcey Silva takes a lot of energy, she requires a huge amount of emotional fuel. Adding an infant into that mix? For her, that seems like an impossible, exhausting task. She's been there, she's done that, and she's not sure she has the capacity to do it all over again, especially while maintaining the intense, laser-focused relationship she demands with her partner. And then there's Georgi. This is where we have to see his side of things. Georgi comes from a different place, literally and figuratively. His life in Bulgaria, his background, it's all a world away from the Silva universe. For many men, having a child is the ultimate expression of love and legacy. It's about creating something permanent, a bond that is unbreakable. In his mind, after all the turmoil they'd been through, after proving his loyalty time and again, wanting a child could be seen as the ultimate commitment. It's him saying, let's build our own family, our own unit, separate from all the noise. He might see it as a way to solidify their marriage, to give it a purpose beyond the drama and the cameras. He might feel that a child would finally make Darcey feel secure within their relationship, rather than constantly seeking validation from outside of it. He might also be thinking about his own legacy, his own bloodline. It's a deep, primal desire for many people. So, when Darcey shuts it down so definitively, it's not just a no to a baby. In his eyes, it could feel like a rejection of that future he's envisioning, a rejection of that deepest level of intimacy and creation. It can make a man feel like he's just a temporary fixture, a placeholder in a life that's already complete without him. The phrasing Darcey used is so telling, and so powerful. She didn't just say, I don't want kids. She said, I would rather walk away. Let that sink in. That is the language of ultimatums. That is her drawing a line not in sand, but in concrete. She is explicitly stating that the prospect of co-parenting a new child with Georgi is less appealing to her than the prospect of ending her marriage. She is weighing the two outcomes, life with Georgi and a baby versus life alone, and she's choosing being alone. That is a devastating thing for a spouse to hear. It communicates that the entire foundation of the marriage is conditional, and that this particular condition is non-negotiable. This statement transforms the disagreement from a simple difference of opinion into a fundamental incompatibility. You can compromise on where to live, how to spend money, even how often to see the in-laws. But you can't have half a child. There is no middle ground. It's a binary choice, yes or no. And when one person is a yes and the other is a no, especially when the no is as absolute as I'd rather leave you, the writing is on the wall. This isn't a problem you can solve with a couple's retreat or a passionate makeup session. This is a crack in the very core of the relationship, and it's a crack that only widens with time. And we cannot, for a single second, ignore the other half of this heartbreaking equation, Stacey. The twin divorce angle is what makes this situation uniquely tragic for the Silva sisters. Darcey and Stacey have built their entire identities on their twinship. They've launched businesses together, they've undergone surgeries together, they've navigated the treacherous waters of reality TV together. Their lives are a mirrored reflection. They got married around the same time, to two men who, while different, both came from Eastern Europe and faced immense scrutiny from the family. Now, as Stacey's marriage to Florian publicly unravels, under the weight of his alleged infidelities, his ambitions, and their own communication breakdowns, Darcey is watching her sister go through the very thing she fears most. She's seeing the tears, the anger, the humiliation, the logistical nightmare of separating a life. She's providing a shoulder for Stacey to cry on, all while knowing she's standing on the precipice of the exact same cliff. The psychological impact of this is immense. It creates a kind of echo chamber of despair. Darcey's problems with Georgi are amplified by Stacey's problems with Florian, and vice versa. There's a twin intuition there. They feel each other's pain acutely. So, as Darcey contemplates leaving Georgi, she's not just thinking about her own divorce. She's envisioning a joint collapse. She's seeing them both, side by side, signing divorce papers, moving out of their homes, starting over, again. It's a synchronized failure, and for two women who market themselves on their perfect, glamorous, united front, that is a terrifying and humiliating prospect. The twin divorce isn't just a catchy headline, it's their worst nightmare coming true in stereo. Let's talk about the pressure of that twin dynamic a bit more. Imagine every major decision in your life being measured against an identical version of you. When things are good, it's a celebration times two. But when things go bad, it's a catastrophe squared. There's an unspoken competition, a constant comparison. If Stacey leaves Florian, does that make it easier or harder for Darcey to leave Georgi? Does it create a safety in numbers mentality, where they can brave the single life together? Or does it create a sense of doomed fate, that this is just their lot in life, to have their romantic dreams crumble simultaneously? We've seen them empower each other in positive ways, but we've also seen them enable each other's most destructive habits. In this case, as they discuss their marital problems, the conversation can easily spiral. One sister's complaint validates the other's. One sister's decision to leave can push the other toward the same path, even if the underlying issues are slightly different. It becomes a feedback loop of dissatisfaction. The bond that is supposed to be their greatest source of strength can, in moments of crisis, become a catalyst for a joint implosion. Now, zooming out from the twin drama, we have to look at Darcey's personal evolution, or at least, the evolution she claims to be undergoing. For years, her tagline has been about being a strong, powerful woman. We've heard it 100 times. But often, her actions didn't match the words. She appeared fragile, dependent on a man's validation to feel complete. This stance on children, however, is an act of power. It is her setting a boundary based on her own needs, her own limitations, and her own vision for her life. She is prioritizing her peace, her existing family, and her own well-being over the demands of a relationship. In that sense, this no might be the strongest thing she's ever said. It's a decision made not from a place of hysterical emotion, but from a place of, arguably, cold, hard clarity. She knows her capacity. She knows what she wants her life to look like. And she is willing to face the immense pain of a divorce to uphold that vision. This is a Darcey we haven't seen much of, a Darcey who isn't begging for a ring, but is instead ready to hand one back. It's a heartbreaking form of growth, but it is growth nonetheless. Of course, Georgi is left in an impossible position. He is being told that his dream of fatherhood is incompatible with his marriage. He has to make a choice, suppress a profound, life-altering desire to stay with the woman he loves, or accept that their paths are diverging. This is where we see if his love for Darcey is truly unconditional, or if it's conditional on a shared future that includes children. It's a test of his own priorities. He might feel betrayed. He might think, after everything I've put up with, after all the drama with your family, after standing by you through all your transformations, this is where you draw the line? This is the hill you're willing to let our marriage die on? It can foster a deep-seated resentment. Even if he agrees to stay and forego children, that seed of resentment is planted. Every time he sees a father with his child, every time the topic comes up, it will be a painful reminder of what he gave up. That is a heavy burden to place on a marriage, one that many cannot bear. Let's also consider the audience's perspective. We, the viewers, have been on this journey with Darcey for so long. We've watched her cry, we've watched her get engaged, we've watched her heart break. There's a sense of fatigue. Many are shouting at their screens, just be happy on your own. Love yourself first. And in this specific conflict, it seems like she's finally trying to do that. The public sentiment might actually be on her side regarding the children issue. It's seen as a practical, self-aware decision. However, there's also sympathy for Georgi. To want a family is a noble and natural desire. He's being painted into a corner, and no one likes to see that. So, the court of public opinion is divided, which only adds another layer of pressure to their already strained relationship. Every social media comment, every fan encounter, becomes a referendum on their private struggle. So, where does this leave us? We have a couple at a profound impasse. We have a woman who has declared she would rather walk away than become a mother again. We have a man whose vision of their future has been fundamentally rejected. And surrounding them is the deafening noise of a twin sister going through the exact same marital breakdown, creating a powerful, magnetic pull towards a synchronized split. The path forward seems to have only two exits. Exit 1, Georgi, out of his love for Darcey, genuinely and completely lets go of his dream of having a biological child. He finds fulfillment in being a stepfather to Aniko and Aspen, and he and Darcey build a life focused on their marriage, their businesses, and their future as a couple, free from the shadow of this disagreement. This would require immense sacrifice on his part and a constant, conscious effort to avoid resentment. Exit 2, they both acknowledge that their life goals are irreconcilably different. They have a painful, but ultimately respectful, parting of ways. Darcey gets to maintain the peace and the life structure she craves, and Georgi is free to find a partner who shares his desire to build a family from the ground up. But this is the Silva universe, and nothing is ever that simple. There's a third, more chaotic possibility: stagnation. They could stay together, in a state of limbo, with this issue festering beneath the surface. They'll have good weeks where it seems forgotten, and then a trigger, a friend's pregnancy, a scene in a movie, will bring it all roaring back, leading to explosive fights and tearful reconciliations. This is the cycle we've seen Darcey in before, and it's the most draining option of all. The tragedy is that there is love there. We've seen it. We've seen the tender moments, the genuine support, the way they can sometimes calm each other's storms. But love, as we know, isn't always enough. A successful marriage requires compatibility, shared values, and a shared vision for the future. And right now, on the most fundamental question of family and legacy, Darcey and Georgi are looking at two different maps, pointing in two different directions. As we wrap this up, it's hard not to feel a profound sense of sadness for everyone involved. For Darcey, who is finally setting a boundary but may lose her marriage because of it. For Georgi, who is facing the loss of both his wife and the future he imagined. For Stacey, whose own pain is being magnified by her sister's parallel struggle. And for the fans, who have invested so much in hoping that this time, for Darcey, it would be different. The phrase "I would rather walk away" echoes. It's a statement of self-preservation, but it's also a potential epitaph for another Silva love story. The prospect of a twin divorce is no longer just a speculative headline, it's a very real, very looming reality. It forces us to ask one final, difficult question: is Darcey's refusal to have more children the final, tragic mistake in her long search for love? Or is it, against all odds, the first truly powerful and self-loving decision she's ever made? The answer, it seems, depends on which path she chooses to walk down next, and whether she has to walk it alone. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. The story is far from over, and we'll be here to follow every heartbreaking twist and turn. Until next time.